You can see where I had the KT tape on, right? I just pulled it off this morning. It used to be there, and then it kind of went around there. But it's been really sore here, but it's feeling much better. I can't run, so I did this instead. Look, I haven't been able to run for a few weeks now. My knee injury, the meniscus, it's that kind of thing that it really doesn't care how committed I am to running, or your training, or how many miles you had planned to run. But here's the thing about being an MAF runner that I've learned over the last 6 years. The aerobic base that you build, it really doesn't have to come from running. 2 days ago, I had laser therapy on my knee, and I have to be totally honest. Just after 24 hours has been remarkable. And the day before that, I actually got on my bike and rode 38 kilometers. The longest ride I've done in about a year, but more on that later. This is that story. It's the story about my knee and what the laser did and why I got on that bike and what this all means to getting back to being able to run. So where's the knee at? Let me give you the full picture on the knee, because I know a lot of you have been following this since I did a video on my KT tape video a couple of months ago. And this isn't a running injury in the traditional sense. I didn't twist it on a trail or push too hard in a session. It literally came on gradually. And it was a combination of a lot of spending time in the car driving for work, sitting in, that weird position with your foot on a weird angle for long periods of time, on and off in traffic. And the body was just carrying some fatigue from the comeback attempts earlier on in the year, I'm sure. These are just some of the things that I think have kind of led to it. Now, it's a meniscus strain. It's not a tear. It's just a strain, which I've been told is manageable, but it's stubborn. And I've been to the chiropractor and had acupuncture. I've been doing what I can to keep things moving without aggravating it, trying to keep the load off. No running, very light walking. And then a couple of days ago, I was like, I had laser therapy for the first flipping time in my life. And I was like, okay. Now, I want to be careful here because I'm not a medical professional, and I can only speak to my own experience. But honestly, the difference, I would have to say, has been very significant. After just one session, I can feel real change in how the knee is responding. It has less stiffness, less background ache throughout the day, and that I've been feeling for like a month. I'm cautiously optimistic, and for the first time in a while, I can generally see a path back to running. But again, a little bit more on that later, because I don't want to make the same mistake I did before. Now, laser therapy is something that I had never had done before. And it's interesting. I mean, what they do is they use this handheld laser, and what they do is they move it over the skin of the area that's sore. And what it can do is it starts to beep, and when it beeps, it's telling you that's where the inflammation is. So they shoot the laser kind of in, it penetrates the damaged cells, and it activates your mitochondria, getting it to produce more energy to be able to deal with the cells that have been damaged. And it is something that I didn't think would work, but it's more effective, I guess, than acupuncture. I mean, acupuncture works, but the meniscus, it's such a weird thing, right? It's hard to get a lot of blood flow into that area. It's one of the things that's a challenge for a lot of people who have meniscus tears, right? They typically have to do surgery, which sucks, man. Like, no one wants to go through that. Mine, it's just a strain. And this is something that I had a number of years ago, but I didn't exactly know what it was. Anyways, this is the thing that's been happening because of all of the driving and how I sit. And it's just very unfortunate and it sucks, because all I want to do is run. But I got to listen. I got to go through the motion and the process and just be patient. It is what it is. So let's start off with this little tidbit, which I thought was pretty good. A couple of days ago, before the laser therapy, I got on my bike. 38 kilometers, the longest ride I've done in close to a year. Now, going into the bike ride with my buddy, I felt a little nervous, right? The knee had been giving me trouble the last couple of weeks, and the last thing I wanted to do was kind of set things back. But I thought, I got to do something. I just can't sit here and just feel like I'm rotting away. But cycling is low impact, right? No pounding, no lateral movement. And I knew if I kept the effort controlled and the heart rate in check, I should be okay. And that's exactly what I did. I took the MAF principles and I just took it on 2 wheels. I just went out for this ride. Now, I generally kept my effort easy. My heart rate was controlled. There was no ego about pace or distance, just time in the saddle. Aerobic effort and enjoying being outside and moving. And here's what I noticed, that about 15 kilometers in, my legs actually felt really good and my breathing pretty relaxed. And for the first time in weeks, I felt like, kind of like a little athlete again, rather than someone waiting to get better. 38 kilometers is done. Knee felt fine afterwards. That ride reminded me of something that I think a lot of runners kind of forget. You don't stop being a trained aerobic athlete just because you can't run. That base that you've built, it's still there. You just need to find another way back to maintain it while the body heals. Look, meniscus strains take time. It doesn't just happen to feel better the next day. 2 days it's been pretty good, but I can't just ignore where I am. I have to slowly do these things and give my body the time that it needs to be able to heal. Now, let me talk about cycling specifically and why it's such a good option for MAF runners dealing with injuries. So the MAF and Zone method it's about training your body to use fat as fuel efficiently, developing your cardiovascular system and doing it, at an intensity low enough that you're building rather than breaking down. That's the simple terms, right? But the thing is, none of that requires running. Your aerobic system doesn't know or care whether you're running, cycling, swimming, rowing. It responds to sustained effort at the right intensity, which means, look, if I can get on a bike and keep my heart rate under my MAF ceiling for an hour, I'm still doing MAF, which is fun, just not without the impact. And that is something that I'm okay with, right? But for meniscus issues specifically, cycling, look, there's no ground impact. There's no sudden loading on the joint. The circular motion of pedaling is actually generally easy on the knee, I found, compared to the repetitive pounding of running, even if I'm running slow. Look, I use the same MAF heart rate on a bike as I do when I'm running. Same ceiling, right? Same discipline, same approach. That's what I do. Now, the main difference, on a bike, you'll be moving faster at the same heart rate than you would be if you are running. And look, it's just physics. I'm not going to go into my physics, but it is. Now, but the aerobic stimulus is comparable, let's just say. What I've found over the years is that time on the bike during these times of running injuries, it doesn't maintain fitness. Well, it does, but it sometimes builds it, right? You're able to accumulate more time at an aerobic intensity than you might be on a run, because the impact isn't there to fatigue you the same way. You still get fatigued. I was still tired after the bike ride, but nothing like I have been when I go running. So if you're dealing with a running injury right now and you have access to a bike, seriously, get on the thing, right? Keep your heart rate under your MAF ceiling, stay consistent, and trust that the base is being maintained or built while the body heals itself. So what does the path back to running actually look like from here? From me sitting on a bench. The laser therapy continues. I'm giving the knee the time it needs without rushing back into the cycle. The cycling continues, right? I want to be able to build up gradually over the next couple of weeks. More time in the saddle, keeping the effort aerobic and maintaining my base. And like I said, maybe even building it would be nice. And when the knee is ready, and I'll know when it's ready, when my knee stops speaking to me is when it's ready, because I'll be able to feel it rather than forcing a timeline. I'll actually start with short runs, running maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes maximum, heart rate under my MAF, walking whenever I need to. Look, there's no heroics. I'm just a YouTuber. And no, I'm not going to pick up where I left off. I made that mistake in 2021 after my ultra marathon when I came back too fast, and I paid for it with months of being on the sideline. I'm not doing that again. This time, I'm listening to the knee, listening to the data, listening to the body. Look, my favorite place, the Boyne Valley, will still be there when I'm ready. The Bruce Trail is not going anywhere, right? And the aerobic base that I've built over the last 6 years of MAF training doesn't disappear in a few weeks or month or even 2. Cross training is a good thing, and it's something that I will continue to do. I just need to be patient, which if you've been following this channel for a while, you know that one of the core lessons about running is to be patient. Trust the process, and the results will come. I wanted to make this video today because I know some of you are going through something similar right now. Somebody has got an injury. Maybe you have an injury. I don't know. But an injury that pulled you off the trails, a body that isn't cooperating with the plan that you had, the frustration of watching your running consistency disappear and wondering how much you're losing. Here's the thing. You're not losing as much as you think. And if you can find a way to keep moving aerobically, like maybe getting on the bike or maybe a stationary bike, maybe swimming, the elliptical, brisk walking, you're maintaining more than you realize. Keep the heart rate under your MAF ceiling, stay consistent with whatever you can, and give your body the grace it needs to heal at its own pace. And this is where I am at right now. And I'll keep you updated every step of the way, like I always do. So drop me a comment. Let me know, have you used cross training to get through a running injury, running slump? What worked for you? I want to know. Comment. It's always great to see them because I do reply back to them. Like I always say, get out and run.